الحملة الانتخابية للمرشح الرئاسي السيد عبد الفتاح السيسي. لقد حدد الدستور المصري وقانون تنظيم الانتخابات الرئاسية شروط الترشح للمنصب الأكبر والأهم في البلاد، وهو منصب رئيس الجمهورية. وفضلا عن الشروط العامة المعروفة للجميع مثل الجنسية والسن وحسن السمعة، فقد اشترط القانون أن يؤيد الراغب في الترشيح ما لا يقل عن 25,000 من المواطنين من 15 محافظة على الأقل، وبحد أدنى 1000 مواطن من كل محافظة، أو أن يزكي هذا المرشح ما لا يقل عن 20 عضوا من أعضاء مجلس النواب. وفور إعلان الهيئة الوطنية للانتخابات عن فتح باب الترشح لهذا المنصب العريق وإعلان جدول مواعيد الإجراءات اللازمة لإجراء الانتخابات، أقبل مئات الآلاف من المواطنين وبحماس شديد على عمل التأييدات للمرشح الرئاسي من خلال مكاتب الشهر العقاري المعتمدة. وبدأ العمل على جمع هذه التأييدات من خلال الأحزاب والمواطنين والجهات الشعبية والسياسية الداعمة لهذا واستجابة لرغبة المواطنين في معظم ميادين البلاد ومحافظاتها المختلفة، أعلن السيد الرئيس عن استجابته لهذه الرغبة تلبية لنداء الواجب الذي لم يتخلف عنه يوما قط.
This morning, the candidate President Abdel Fattah Sisi underwent the required medical test required of this candidacy while I was under the President, and I personally to thank His Excellency of such an precious trust. I, as legal representative, and to go to the headquarters of the ME, carrying the file of candidacy after fulfilling the measurement and legal candidacy required, as the file being submitted already. I would like to note that we've, in this just a short time, the approval of 424 MPs. As we submitted around 1,130,000 supporters from the citizens. 1,130,000 supporters from the citizens through all governorates and segmentation. And allow me to present some of the statistical data with regard to that thing. With respect to the supporters of the MPs, with regard to the supporters of the citizens, the number is 1,130,105 citizens. 740 representatives, more than two-thirds, were from the female. And 364,000 of the male of percentage that above the third. It is notably noted that the biggest segmentation of the age that sent the supporters of the presidential candidate were less than 35 years old, the age of use. Around 514 supporters, and the age segmentation from 36 to 50, around 300,960 supporters, and the percentage and the age segmentation from 51 to 60, 168,000, and above 60 was around 7,000. The next slide shows the approval, the member of the House of Representatives as described, stipulated by the law as an approval, and what comes from the citizens as supported. Both are an activation of the political rights for free. With respect for the MPs, we've had 424, among which 53 of the independent MP and 371 from the party MPs, and among which 106 MPs, female MPs, and 76 male MP less than 40 years old. Before you, the geographical classification to the supporters. The higher governorate was from Cairo, followed by Al Giza governorate, and the less governorate, which is understandable, was the New Valley governorate as a border governorate of less population. But let me assure you, if you compare the percentage of supporters with the registrars, we find it as a large percentage. The next slide, with respect to the quantitative division regarding male and female, before you, quantitative division, but this time Al Giza governorate overcome the Cairo governorate with the number of recommendations issued by the female. This does not reflect but a vast society desire and a vast popular base, as we haven't started yet, only just a few days that resulted these recommendations and supporters for each male and female citizens the full great appreciation and thanks for just a positive measurement. As a company, we thank the NEA for its exerted effort in managing such a very important constitutional event according to the Constitution and the law, and we fully trust their technical and administrative leadership as well as its integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, the esteemed attendees, the presidential candidate, Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is relying on a vast popular base that resulted from tens of factors, among which is carried belonging to the military background as well as previous stance in the 30th of June, when the entities of the homeland, of our homeland, had exposed to the dangers of distortion and dissemination, whereas the armed forces has biased to the desire of the gathering on of the Egyptians to against such risk, such as terrorism was confronted deliberately and exerted all the effort from men and material and money, and started to secure its borders with all pivots and regain peace and security, and launch following the completion of constructing institutional entities to an unprecedented comprehensive development. And the state had to work through all pivots in the same time to compensate what is missed in times in events and turbulent as the state worked on the economic and political level that the time cannot be enough for exploring. We don't have to without a clear vision and a solid leadership that is aware of risks and the challenges that has the means and potential and the hope, all the hope in the better future in order to complete our dream together. While they saying that the achievement has a complete ability of convincing, as we can see as witnesses, not just listeners, and the Egyptian state had realized that the need to operate and to avoid the dangers of unemployment and the necessity of establishing a strong infrastructure is one of the factors of the success of the state. Ladies and gentlemen, the voting is right, and the presidential candidate call on all the Egyptians to positively participate, to choose who is fit of the such an post through a clean and a competitive election that generates a very vital political life and goes in the international standardization. The national dialogue that been for 2 years and a half and what been discussed through deep and constructive discussion, and its outputs were clear, consistent, and impacted positively to activate the political life and was the basis to motivate the parties and activity. And here we are, find the result that a number of the parties' chairmen who announced their desire to be a candidate for such a very elegant post. And I wish also to salute all the voters, and as we all respectfully to call them compete in honor that reflected the Egyptian civilization. And we are in the campaign of the presidential candidate, President Abdel Fattah Sisi, who are fully prepared to communicate with the other campaign in reaching such a very honorable scene, as it is the time to work and complete the dream and build in a better future for our generation. Therefore, Mr. Candidate, to be for the campaign an unpartisan one and to be based on a collective participation of all the societal segmentation that features the 3rd of June, and be based on the supporting and recommending popularity, and whoever to love the voter of the candidate to be considered as a part of such a campaign. As the presidential candidate oriented to form a set of dialogue or a group of dialogue to be a cooperative of decision makers, if God willing, to win the candidacy and be formed of a set of intellectuals and experts in all arenas. With respect to the arrangement, the campaign will be committed to the roles of laws and constitution and the resolution of the National Election Authority. Also announced an official page on the social media, and we are working to establish a website through which all the activities to be announced, as well as the presidential candidate vision, and also to convey a popular groups and to go through all the governorates in field visit by the next week, and to receive in our campaign whoever we can, and also we welcome brothers in prison who wish to closely acknowledge our future plan. As we call upon all the citizens to follow up, we are looking forward for, or rather we're waiting from the media personnel for an objective coverage that stand in parallel to relevant parties, and we are going to be very keen to communicate effectively with all the newspapers and media platforms based on the citizen keenness and knowledge, and to be aware and not to rely on the other news published that had no base on the platforms of the social media, and we are very ready to answer any questions for the personal media and all media platforms regarding all the activities made by the campaign. And the campaign will take headquarters in different governments, which will be announced soon, as welcoming effortly that all the effort provided by the domestic and popular entities supporting our presidential candidate, and will be provided and will let him to join us and to participate through the ways to be announced on its website. And we can coordinate and unified all different efforts from different political and popular supporters to reach the best result and to avoid the intervention and repetition. Ladies and gentlemen, we've committed ourselves of the solid morals, and we'll invite everybody to join this commitment and to work by all the laws, the constitution, standardizations, and all the laws issued by the National Election Authority. And lastly, we would like to clearly to establish the complete separation and the activities of President Abdel Fattah Sisi and the candidate Mr. Abdel Fattah Sisi, in order to avoid any intervention all in fields. And I thank you for your good attention. Peace be upon you all. Long live Egypt. Will you please? There is an order of such session. Please respect the order. This campaign is not actually, we are not owned this campaign, but it is owned by its candidate. The mic, please. Good afternoon, Mr. Councillor Mohammed Al-Ghali, the chief editor of this Al-Yawm Al-Sabi. You've already said that it will be having meeting with intellectuals, economists, in order to formulate a vision. Therefore, meeting to be convened throughout the Republic through and with the all segmentations. We'd like to know, does the media will be attending these meetings, and if they are going to be any understanding for such this vision? Thank you very much. We are targeting all governorates. So which segmentation is going to be started? Our discourse will be directed to all Egyptians, but there's no doubt we are mainly and directly targeting the youth segmentation. as it is the priorities of the campaign. With respect to the media, we've already allocated, designated more than a paragraph in talking with the media platforms. We are going to rely on transparency. We are going to announce all activities. With respect to the public meeting, naturally our brothers and friends from the media are invited, and in our webpage we're going to announce the communications numbers for the media personnel. Thank you. Muhammad Abdel Nasser from Al Dastoor newspaper. From Qena. My question is related to the economic circumstances as it is in the world economic crisis, but the citizen is actually feeling in pain, hope in the future. What about the election visions of candidate President Abdel Fattah Sisi is going to deal with this? To talk frankly, it is a world economic crisis, not only affect Egypt, and we are admitted mainly there is inflation. We are going to confront chains of supply, the hard currency. The whole world is suffering these problems. There is a vision for the presidential candidate. It's going to be announced, and the economic part is going to be taking a large part of such a vision. We are very optimistic, as we've already overcome the hard phase. Praise to the Almighty God, and God willing, this will be having a good deliberation in meetings, and through which the economic part will be announced. I wish to say that through the state and the national dialogue, the government had launched a policy of the state ownership, that its final goal to encourage the participation of the private sector and to increase the spaces dedicated to the private sector in the upcoming period. Ahmed Suleiman from Al Gumhur website. A question, website from Al Gumhur, opposition question. Are you going to confront or to face, as the other campaigns is facing, such like strains, and do you have a stance of something like that? Look, as we are election campaign for a presidential candidate, we are not related to the state entities, and it is not up to us to denounce or announce a denouncing statement. But let me trust you that we are fully entrusted to the neutrality of the National Election Authority as an independent authority that opened its doors to all the people wish to complain, and it is running by a independent legal counselor, and it's independent based on law and constitution. But we should be aware that in elections might face some of these features, but we are need to firmly affirm the diversity and the activation of communication with the campaign of other candidates. Nothing more to say. Muhammad Tariq from Al Watan newspaper. My question, in case the winning of the candidate President Abdel Fattah Sisi, what are the projects and files need to be completed in taking a primary, and in another form for the third term, what is going to be different? Why for third term in order to complete what we've started? I imagine that the vision is going to be launched and based in the upcoming period in building the human or the Egyptian human being. It's been always as a priority and an objective, but why wasn't exist and present in the previous phase? Because to build the Egyptian identity would require the infrastructure building, and we do not know in any world in any countries in the world that there is no free infrastructure. As said, we need to educate and to be treated. You should have a school, hospital, and a road. We've already crossed the difficult path. By the way, the private sector in the primary phases with fully respect is avoiding this road, as the state has already made this societal road. There's no free development. We should pay the price of development, and any real development would require a strong infrastructure, and praise to the Almighty God who've done this. But in the upcoming period, we'll be having more focus and to launch towards building the Egyptian citizen, and there's a great desire to support the political life, and its root clearly emerged through the national dialogue that actually gather all the diversities of the Egyptian segmentation. This with respect to the political side. With respect to the economic side, that we are targeting mainly to nationalize in industry, minimize the export, increase the minimize the import, and increasing the export. For these reasons, as said by the councillors, will require another or a third term. Hatem Al-Gahmi from the MENA. My question for the National Election Authority announced that the election for the year 2024, but it is actually in 2023. Who said that it is only in 2023? Certainly the National Election Authority is fully right to describe it as it is to be named presidential election 2024. Before me is the schedule of the election issued in the resolution of the NEE that it talks about the announcing of the final result to be published in the National Gazette in the rerun to be on 16 January 24. Therefore, a part of the election is in 2024, and the final word that the presidential tenure or term to start in the year 2024. I hope that I answered the question. The last question, please. I cannot see your last question, please. Hand. We'll be having enough time and more meetings. This is just a primary launching. Hen Mukhtar from the اليوم السابع. You've already indicated the separation between the President Abdel Fattah Sisi and the presidential candidate Abdel Fattah Sisi. The part of whether is a presidential candidate or a president are rumors faced by the state. What about the campaign's plan to deal with these rumors? And there is a mixture regarding the expense of the campaign. How the campaign is going to deal with the rumors to face the presidential candidate that is in fact the President of the Republic. Of course, this is not the first case for the President of the Republic to run the candidacy for another term. It is already well known. Will overcome the rumors by publishing and spreading the facts. Therefore, we are relying on the publicity, the transparency, the commitment of the Constitution and the law and the national election authorities. Laws will continue effectively with the media platforms. In fact, with all these efforts, we are going to hope to be having a commitment of the discipline and objectivity based on my work as an Secretary General of the Regulatory Council for Media. We're not going to confront any phase in legal, but if we've had to do so, we'll do so. And thank you very much. We're going to meet many times in the upcoming days.